Okay. Yeah. I haven't used this in a while. I'm using my TextMint capture because I'm just sick of waiting the 5 minutes for XSplit to load up because of money. Anyway. I don't know what you mean by they couldn't have sinned because they were God's creation. Well, I don't understand how you don't understand that, because doesn't sin mean to be absent of God? And being God's creation would mean not being absent of God? If not, then define sin. And how can God be without sin if he creates with sin? What? We are all his creation, but you and I sin every day. Who the fuck are you to speak for me, cocksucker? You fucking lowlife. I don't believe in sin. What, I automatically sin just because you believe I do? Because you believe sin exists? Fuck you. You arrogant little prick. How come we can't sin? I just answered that question. Okay, so if sin... Well, another question is, okay, my breakdown of the mythology goes as follows. God created Adam and Eve to bring sin about, so he set them up to do so, to disobey him by eating from that tree which caused the sin, as many Christians would say that disobedience itself is what the sin is, or which brought the sin about. And he needed Adam and Eve to do that so they could become the scapegoat, so you guys didn't have to blame God being the creator of the life to begin with, and providing that stupid psychotic reward of heaven, which can't be. But that goes beside the point. So that's how that works. It's where Jesus Christ comes in. He was required to provide the pathway for you guys to get into heaven, the way to get God's forgiveness for something you didn't commit. Existential blackmail, essentially, as many have already pointed out. And also to convince you you're guilty of Adam and Eve's bullshit, which, as set up by God, for the reason I just explained. So, God being incapable of evil, so God created the antithesis, his being's own antithesis? What? But you and I sin every day. Well, according to this, I need your definition of sin. Because my understanding of sin is that it's the absence of God. But somehow that's a crime. That's an offense to God. Somehow we can offend God. But being born of it means birth is an offense to God. What? I'm also not sure why free will doesn't work in your worldview either. Well, number one, how can it if, well, it's not so much that free will, well, number one, why did Adam and Eve require free will, being in the utopia that the Garden of Eden supposedly is? Two, how can any of the options be bad if God provided them, God being incapable of evil? And three, how can we be ourselves if we're born with sin under Satan's agency? So we can have free will. We're born, well, fuck. Yeah, how can the self exist if we're under Satan's agency from birth, which is our nature according to Christianity? Those three shots are why shoot free will down. That's why they don't work in my worldview either. It's not even my worldview, it's my understanding. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying that those are the flaws I see in the free will thing, which haven't been debunked by any of you, or haven't been answered by any of you. As far as I can see, free will is only a cop-out for you to excuse or defend God. That's how I'm seeing free will. Oh well, we can be sick. Oh well, that's free will. That means it's just our fault. That just removes God from the equation then. If it's our fault, what does God have to do with it? So you're saying Adam and Eve are robots forced to choose against God? No. So you're saying Adam and Eve were robots. How is sin robotic? I don't understand that. You're the one that's saying that... What? So you're saying Adam and Eve were robots forced to choose against God. Did I say they were forced to choose against God? Where does that even where does the implication come from? This is a question, so it can't be a straw man, so that means it's an invalid question because that's not what I said. That's not even what I implied. I never said anything about forcing to choose. You're the one that brought free will up. And speaking of that, you guys would say that we have free will. That means it's our choice. Well, what if I choose not to choose? I can avoid both heaven and hell if I choose to not choose? Or does that mean I go to hell by default because of original sin? You see how wrong you are yet, Alex? And you're questioning me. And not only that, but even like we are all his creation, but you and I sin every day. Then you ask me how come we can't sin because God created us. So you assert before you ask. How does that make any fucking sense? Fuck, Christians are so fucking dumb. God didn't give them an evil option. Well, okay, if none of the options in that free will are evil, then how the fuck did they commit sin? And there's another guy on Twitter who kept on telling me that, well, disobedience is the sin. Okay, how did they disobey if none of the options are evil? Explain that one. Do you remember that it was Satan who asked Eve if God really said... I don't remember anything. I never read the Bible, nor do I believe, nor was I fucking there. And neither were fucking you. So how is this question valid? Do you remember that it was Satan who asked Eve if God really said to not eat the fruit of good and knowledge? How is knowledge evil or sin? Or it was the disobedience of it. Okay, well, why does God forbid them of knowledge? What's the problem with knowledge? Every step of the way you just... Fuck. By Satan tempting Eve, he was then able to tempt... Yeah, okay, so now you're going in the temptation route here. Now, is temptation rebellion? Is temptation deliberate disobedience? They were tricked. That's what that means, right? They were tempted by Satan. Where does Satan come from, by the way? I thought Adam and Eve were the first creations. Satan was he was an angel? Well, where the fuck did angels and demons come from then? Did God already create heaven and hell at this point? What? By Satan tempting Eve. And by the way, as I've been saying to another guy, being that we're sinners at birth, we're naturally bad. Who wrote the fucking Bible? Or was that written before Adam or God created Adam and Eve? Oh, well, you're saying that you're suggesting that God created them sinners. You're unintentionally ripping Christianity apart yourself. You're making absolutely no fucking sense. So you got it all mixed up. Sin existed before Adam and Eve, according to you. But that would mean that the Bible is a lie because Satan is the author of all lies, is he not? And you're saying we're of the devil when we're born. That also means the authors of the Bible. They were human. Were they not? I don't think it even, according to your version of Christianity, it doesn't even matter whether the Bible was written before God created Adam and Eve or not, because God created Adam and Eve sinners. Why did God even need the tree if they were born, if he made them sinners? To disobey? Well, what the fuck? Satan didn't even need it, or was that just the excuse? Oh, well, yeah, I created you sinners, you just... What? That means God is the asshole. Well, Satan influenced their decision to sin, not God. Does that matter? The main thing here is that you're asking the origin of sin. I don't know what you mean by they couldn't have sinned, because that's the original context of this, which you just can't seem to wrap your head around. I'm asking you how they could have sinned if they were God's creation. And then you say Satan influenced their decision to sin, not God. Where did the sin come from? Fuck. I will admit that God created the sin in a way because he created Adam and Eve and Satan, but it's not his plan or anything to introduce evil to the world. So why did he banish them then? Isn't that what caused it? What? Isn't everything a part of his plan? You keep saying God is evil, and that's not the discourse usually. Dude, you don't know anything about discourse. You're going way far away from the main context here. You're trying to excuse God. You're just explaining shit that has nothing to do with my question of, how could sin exist if Adam and Eve were God's creations? Please try and back your claims up either through... Who the fuck are any of you Christians to tell anyone to back their claims up? I don't make claims. I explain why certain aspects of Christianity are bullshit, but that's about it. All you're doing is asking stupid fucking questions. Invalid questions. You're just a jackass like the rest of them. Who the fuck are you to tell me what to do? Back what claims up? I'm asking you questions. I don't make claims. I'm asking you how they could be sin. You're the one claiming sin here. You're the one claiming Satan. Projection, fucking projection. And now you're quoting the Bible at me. Why would you do that knowing I'm an atheist? I don't believe in that sick fucking book. It's also very fucking boring, and I have no interest in ever reading it, let alone follow it. I'm gonna leave it at that. I don't like long videos, so yeah, I'll leave it at that.